Namaste, everybody. Much love and light and peace and favor and great health to all. Today we're going to be talking about the Hopi Prophecy and discuss a little bit about it. And I read an article from Gary David, I believe it is, or David Gary. And I'll be reading from his article about the Hopi Prophecy and how he correlated the Orion constellation and basically mapped it over the Hopi's land. So let me get to that page. Just a second. Okay. So how's everybody doing? Okay, and this article is from Ancient Origins, and the article is written by David Gary David, and he has two parts. So I'm going to be reading both part 1 and part 2 and showing you the maps of the Orion constellation and how it coincides with the land of the Hopi. So Hopi Prophecy and the End of the Fourth World, Part 1. More than any other tribe in North America, the Hopi Indians have developed accordingly to the dictates and demands of what may be called a legacy of prophecy. The predictions of life to come do not merely pertain to the Hopi themselves, but deal with the impending events on a global scale. These prophecies began to be made public shortly after the mid-20th century. The Hopi are an aggregation of clans that came together at the center point, which is called Tuawanasavi, in northern Arizona, during the course of their migration. Because they are not monolithic tribe, the sources of their prophecy are fragmentary and multifarious. Part of the lack of narrative clarity also has to do with the secretive nature of the Hopi. These isolated sedentary farmers living in unpretentious pueblos, basically stone apartment buildings, on the high desert of the American Southwest have looked into the future from their kivas, subterranean communal prayers, and have seen some rather disturbing scenarios. Many times they simply do not wish to share these visions with the outside world. Considering the history of exploitation and genocide of the Native Americans in general, this can be understandable very much. And this is how their apartment buildings will look at in the desert back in the days. You see how they have these little steps, and they also have ladders. And that is Snake Kiva in the village of Oravi, the oldest continuous inhabited community North American continent, which is established in 1100 AD. Like the Maya, among whom the Hopi once lived and with whom they later traded, the Hopi conceptualized the cycles of time as world ages. The Hopi believe that we have suffered 3 previous world catalysms. The first world was destroyed by fire, a comet, asteroid strike, or a number of volcanic eruptions. The second world was destroyed by ice, a great ice age. As recorded by many cultures around the globe, a tremendous deluge destroyed the third world. These 3 global destructions were not result of merely random earth changes or astrophysical phenomena, but the humankind's disregard both for Mother Earth and for the spiritual dictates of the Creator. In other words, cataclysmic events in the natural world are casually connected to collective transgressions or negative human actions. So we basically don't have no respect for each other or for Mother Earth. Unlike the Maya, the Hopi are rarely specific about the dates for their shifting of these ages. It has been said that the Maya were masters of time, whereas the Hopi are masters of space. The verb tenses here are deliberate, given that the Maya no longer follow the long count calendar of 394-year cycles. Instead, they now use the Zolkin calendar of 260 days. An amazing complex system, nonetheless, living on three primary mesas. The Hopi continue to perform a series of annual sacred rituals within the ceremony cycle in order to keep not just themselves but rather the whole world in balance. So basically, they were our guardians, the Hopi. They were making sure that the balance of the world was intact. Thank you, my brothers and sisters. As times go by, this task is increasingly difficult because our contemporary lifestyle, with its technological gadgetry and unseemly allurements, continue to erode traditional ways of life and ancestral Hopi values. Not even just that, we don't even honor our own cultural history and the rituals that we once did. It's all about technology. It's all about being on your phone and being about in front of that TV. Fewer and fewer young Hopis are learning their indigenous language, customs, and ceremonies. More youth are leaving Hopi land to seek employment in urban areas. Those that do stay on the reservations are confronted with the intra-tribal squabbles, and much worse, with high rates of alcoholism and increasingly available lethal street drugs. The dire signs of Native American versions of end times are everywhere. Many Hopi spiritual elders claim that we are living in the final days of the fourth world. And a lot of cultures also believe this too. A lot of us believe the end of the fourth world has already begun. For more than 60 years, different Hopis have predicted various earth changes that signal the conclusions of the current age and the onset of the fifth world. In 1970, Dan Kachongova, Sun Clan leader for the village of the Hotivila, who died at age 112, spoke about deteriorating conditions of our time. And this is what he said. We have teachings and prophecies informing us that we must be alert for the signs and omens which will come about to give us courage and strength to stand on our beliefs. Like what's right now, what's going on with the coronavirus. A lot of people are at home. And this is the perfect time to increase your courage and increase your strength in your beliefs. Blood would flow. Our hair and our clothing will be scattered upon the earth. Nature will speak to us with its mighty breath of wind. There will be earthquakes and floods causing great disasters, changes in the seasons and in the weather, disappearance of wildlife, and famine in different forms. There will be gradual corruption and confusion among the leaders and the people all over around the world, like what's going on right now. And wars will come about like the powerful winds. All of this has been planned for the beginning of the creation. The only thing that hasn't happened yet is the wars. The two life paths of the prophecy rock. Another spiritual elder from the same third Mesa village, David Monongi, who have lived even longer than grandfather Dan had warned when earthquakes, floods, hailstorms, drought, and famine will be the life of every day. The time will have then come for the return to the true path, or going to the zigzag way. Staying on that current path or falling off that current path. The zigzag way refers to the line found on Prophecy Rock, a panel of ancestral Hopi petroglyphs in northern Arizona. The zigzag is the upper of two parallel lines. It supposedly represents the path of the two hearts, who are wreaking havoc on Earth Mother and living contrary to the ecological principles and the laws of nature. The lower line, on the other hand, is the path of the one hearts who are close to soil and the growth of corn, bean, squash, that is, adhering to the true Hopi way. Because that's what their diet really consisted of. It was beans and squash, corn, sometimes bison. The upper path is divorced from the natural world and totally immersed in the synthetic manufactured reality of iPhones and Xboxes 360s and PlayStation 4s and all and etc. In essence, it is the lifestyle the Hopi called Goyanagasti, which means the world out of balance, or life of moral corruption and turmoil regarding a group. The lower way, rooted in earth-based rhythms, finds the solace and spiritual sustenance from corn pollen, sunlight, soaking rains, and vast desert vistas, a life of accordance with the Creator of the Great Spirit. So when they say rooted in earth-based rhythms, to me, I feel like that's the root chakra. They're always in balance and harmony with that root chakra. And here's the that stone that I was just referring to, the zigzag way. And here he is on earth. This large sandstone panel facing due east was incised in ancient times with various arcane symbols. The petroglyphs were carved on the vertical surface of the boulder. Caveat lector. What follows are merely possible interpretations. Excuse me. They are by no means an official Hopi reading of the symbology, nor they sanctionized by the Hopi themselves. The figure at the lower left is Masao, the Hopi god of death, fire, and earthly pain. He carries a bow with his arrow pointing to the underworld, previous, which is the third world. His left hand holds the path to the current fourth world. The circle to the right represents Earth, or rim of the horizon. So, okay. Just lost my path. Okay. The Christian cross signifies the Spanish, referring to Catholic, incursion of the Hopi land. The square represents a village, pueblo, plaza, or the Hopi territory. The two parallel lines are positioned obliquely refer to the lines of the two. Okay. The two parallel lines positioned obliquely refer to the two life paths humankind may take at the end of the current fourth world. As previously mentioned, the upper line is the path of the two hearts. On this line are four figures with enjoined hands, the last figuring appearing to have two heads or two hearts. This line ends in a zigzag up in the air. The lower line is the path of one hearts. Resting on this line from left to right are three circles which represent three world shakings or three world wars. To the right of the last circle are a corn stalk and a Hopi man tending corn. This line extends to the right across another section of the rock, whereas the upper line is not extended. The line is on the right between two parallel lines, and perpendicular to them represents the last chance the two hearts have to descend to the true path on the lower line. Grandfather Mountain. Grandfather Martin Kashiwasomo from the Fire Clan of the Hotivila village on Third Mesa stated to a group of us in front of Prophecy Rock during the summer of 2011 that this lower line represents an everlasting life and the rising sun. Indeed, I did a quick compass check of the extended lower line, see upper right of the graphic, and found that if one stood at that point with his or her back toward the rock, one would directly face the spot of the horizon where the sun rises in the summer solstice. The Hopi say that at this time, Tawa, the sun god, is the strongest and resides in his Tawaki, or summer house. And that's Grandfather Martin. Signs that the fourth world is winding down. Some other predictions made public by various Hopi elders in the 20th century include the possibility of the fourth world's demise. These involve an increasingly erratic climate and a few specific signals or signs of social and political imbalance. The prophesied earth changes include earthquakes, tsunamis, hurricanes, tornadoes, record floodings, wildfires, droughts, and famines. Pandemics are currently on the minds of many, which is happening now. The 2014 Ebola virus epidemic in the West Africa has already claimed over 5,000 victims as the end of October 2014. The U.S. Centers for Disease and Control and Prevention projects as many as 1.4 million fatalities by January of 2015, although this may be a worst case scenario. Now, this is back in 2014, and since the Ebola, there has been many other epidemics, and now with this coronavirus has not just become an epidemic, but it became a pandemic. The Hopi also predicted a number of technological changes that will signal the end of the fourth world. Long before it happened, the elder said a grud of ashes will fall on the earth. This refers, of course, to a nuclear explosions. First, the atomic test blast at Trinity site in New Mexico, then the dual holocaust of the Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and finally the other hydrogen bomb test on Pacific atolls and in the American Southwest, with their carcinogenic effects on the downwinders. Hopi prophecies include the fact that people would ride in horseless wagons on black ribbons like vehicles on asphalt. In addition, aerial vehicles that would travel roads in the heavens, pathways in the sky, either benign contrails or deleterious chemtrails. The Hopi also stated that one of the final signs is that people would be living in the sky, like in the International Space Station, and that trying to colonize Mars. Right now, they're trying to see if there's some kind of water source underneath the ground of Mars. Hopi elders also foresaw numerous social changes. They said that the Hopi delegates will travel at 4 different times to the House of Micah, the UN building in New York, but each time their pleas or for peace will be ignored. The socially conservative Hopi culture also believe that the end of the fourth world will be signaled by women starting to wear men's clothing. The women's liberation movement. Finally, a Hopi friend of mine in his 50s said that his grandfather had predicted in 1960s what seems to refer to 9/11 2001. He said that an event would happen when America was asleeping, and the country will wake up to the thunderous eruption of war. We must remember that Hopi prophecy are not contemporary readings or world events, but statements made centuries or perhaps millennia ago. These disturbing commentaries on our current state of global affairs will simply relayed through the generations to preserve present via the Hopi oral tradition, with very few alterations made in the process. Okay, now I just got to get to the next. I'm gonna look at my chat room to see what's going on so far until the second article pulls up. Hi Josie. Hi Jeanne. I mean Jeannie. I've been pronouncing people's names messed up today. Okay. There we go. Okay, this is part 2. Hopi Prophecy and the End of the Fourth World, part 2, by Gary David. The 9 Signs of White Feathers Prophecy. In the summer of 1958, a minister named David Young was driving across the Four Corners region of the U.S. when he picked up an old Hopi man named White Feather. By the side of the road, this spiritual elder of the Bear Clan, the most sacred of all Hopi clans, confessed that all his sons were dead and that the Hopi ceremony cycle was slowly becoming extinct. After sensing Reverend Young was trustworthy, he decided to pass along 9 primary Hopi prophecy that together would herald the destruction of Fourth World. White Feather stated that these 9 signs will mean that the Fourth World was about to come to a close. He said that his ancestors had foretold the coming of all the following events long before they arrived. White-skinned people would take possession of the land and carry thunder sticks that strike like lightning, which they were referring to rifles and pistols. Spinning wheels with voices in them will come, which was their worm wagon wheels and their cars, or the spinning records of the CDs and vinyl records. Huge, strange beasts would appear looking somewhat like buffalo, but with long horns, the cattle. Snakes of iron would spread across the land, railroads. A giant spider web will crisscross the land, the telegraph, telephone power lines, and now the internet, the World Wide Web. River of stone that make pictures in the sun would crisscross Hopi land. Concrete highways in the desert with the mirages of water. The ocean would turn black and all the living things in it would die. The summer of 2010, the Gulf oil spill. Young people with long hair will come to the Hopi land to learn native ways. The countercultural revolutions of the late 1960s and the early 1970s, which they called what they called themselves, the flower people or the rainbow tribe. I know my mom she used to say she was the flower girl, a hippie. A dwelling place in the heavens will crash to earth, thereby producing a brilliant blue star. Sakwasul, the blue star Kachina, will remove his mask in the village plaza during a sacred Kachina dance. After that, all Hopi ceremonies will cease entirely. But it says no. Kachinas are also spelled Katsinam, plural, and Katsina is singular. Are spirit messengers between the world of the gods and the world of humans. They are analogs to angels, in what was referred into the Catholic religion or Christian religion. All these portents are not strictly chronological, but the final sign will certainly conclude the series and may trigger the end of the fourth world. And these are Conchina dancers. They're doing their ceremony. Warfare with those who possess the first light of wisdom. Whitefeather furthermore said that the conclusion of the fourth world will be accompanied by great wars and mass destruction. He believed that this would especially occur in the lands where the first light of wisdom appeared, perhaps in the Middle East or in the Near East. Fiery columns of the smoke would rise, which might remind us of either the surrealistic scene of Saddam Hussein setting his oil wells on fire during the first Gulf War, or the shock and awe campaign of the subsequent disastrous Iraq War. Remember, this humble Hopi man was talking in 1958. This is another quote that he has said. These are the signs that great destruction is coming. The world shall rock to and fro. The white man will battle against other people in other lands with those who possess the first light of wisdom. There will be many columns of smoke and fire such as Whitefeather has seen the white man make in the desert not far from here. Only those which come will cause disease and great dying. Many of my people, understanding the prophecy, shall be safe. Those who stay and live in the places of my people also shall be saved. Thus, the territory in the northern Arizona, in the vicinity of the Hopi Reservation, will apparently be safe haven during this transition between the end of the fourth world and the beginning of the fifth. Whitefeather's account is corroborated by a passage from the classic book of the Hopi, written by Frank Waters and Oswald White Bear Fredericks, which was published in 1963. World War III will be started by those people who first received the light, divine wisdom of intelligence. In the other old countries, which India, China, Egypt, Palestine, Africa, the United States will be destroyed, land and people, by atomic bombs and radioactivity. Only the Hopis on their homeland will be preserved as an oasis to which refugees will flee. And the author's trying to tell you in the brackets were quotation that Frank Waters had inserted. We need not to be reminded of the early 2011 turmoil in North Africa and the Middle East known as the Arab Spring. Mass protests and unrest resulted in deaths of innocent people who sought to throw off the yoke of dictatorship, military rule, or repression theocracies. Tunisia, Egypt, Bahrain, Yemen, Libya, Iraq, and Syria may be the lands with the first light of wisdom to which the Hopi elder referred more than a half century ago. The complexities of the various factions and issues unfortunately preclude an easy political or diplomatic answer or action. Meanwhile, the apocalyptic strife continues to occur right before our eyes. The human mass executions and deplorable hunger that we see in our TVs and computers screens naturally makes us recoil in despair. It is as we are paralyzed by what someone has called fear porn. To make matters worse, a small minority of the general populace has assumed the role of fear monger, who interprets every major political or social event with some sort of conspiracy theory or false flag operation. These purveyors of our paranoia believe that nefarious truth lurk behind every headline, keeping many of us in a perpetual state of anxiety. That's why I say stop looking at at the news with all this coronavirus and all that. Increase your vibration, balance those chakras, get in tune with yourself and everything that's around you. Universal trial by fire. On the other hand, let's not pretend to be New Age Polanias. The Hopi basically believe that humankind must go through a very rough period called a purification, a kind of universal trial by fire. This ordeal will essentially separate the wheat from the chaff, or more permanent to the Hopi, the spiritual corn, which is called maize, from the materialistic stalk. So the end of the fourth world will be harder for some than for others. Other spiritual elder named Dan Evahema, also from the village of the Hotivila, and also over 100 years old when he passed on, talked about the cosmic result of what today we call income inequality. He claimed that the day of purification, maybe the apocalypse, would culminate either in total rebirth or total annihilation. We don't know which. But the choice is yours. War and natural catastrophe may be involved. The degree of violence will be determined by the degree of inequality caused among peoples of the world and the imbalance with nature. In this crisis, rich and poor will be forced to struggle as equals in order to survive. Most Hopi people ultimately believe, however, that this transition between world ages will not mean the total end of the world as we know it, but rather the beginning of what they call the fifth world, a time of peace for humanity, a pristine harmony with Mother Nature, leaning more toward the possibility of renaissance, which is literally or rebirth, and regeneration rather than annihilation and desolation. Grandfather Montague describes this purification and its ultimate outcome. It will then open our hearts and minds when a new age is about to be, with people renewed and purified through fire. It will be like the pure gold of new day, but fire is red, and when it takes command, it will set the forces of nature in motion. We will then know purification day has come. We all are the caretakers of life. The balance of nature depends on us. The world will be what we want it to be. And it's so true. It is so true. A lot of people, they have so many negative thoughts, and with those negative thoughts, they do negative intentions that cause another person's heart, or emotions to be hurt. We have to look at ourselves and see what we don't like about ourselves, what causes us anger, what makes us sad, what makes us depressed, stuff like that, so that way we could figure it out, the root, and fix it. It's living in the root chakra, always, consistently. Even if the other chakras are in balance, we have to maintain that root chakra balance, so we could see things in a better perspective. And just basically giving love and compassion to all. I don't care if you're whatever race you are. It doesn't matter to me. To me is that soul, that light that lives in with that person. That's all that matters. I'm going to the chat. Hi, Max. Yes, our America's children have been in battle for almost 19 years. We've been in battle for so long. We have to a lot of us who have children right now, who have young ones, we need to teach them all the stuff that we know right now that the schools are not teaching our children. We have to teach them. We have to show them a better way, give them the tools so they can start doing their meditations and putting out their love and light, to keep the world balanced. Because we're older now, we're not going to be here for too long. Right now we have to do as much as we can to try to get the world balanced and try to get the people balanced. I want to do a show, but this show is regarding about women and all different kinds of women from different kinds of background. I want to do a show with different cultures of women coming together and having a serious conversation and about how letting go one's thoughts and perspective of another race. It's about working together, being union. The matriarch is basically becoming stronger, showing the world how the matriarch is and how we love and have compassion with each other, because we all women suffer. We've been suffering for a long time too. So if we can show an example to the patriarchic system and society, we're good. We women have suffered from childbirth through all types of stress, depression, and all that, and basically a lot of it had to come to do from a man, and men vice. It's the same thing with you guys, So if we all come together and show the patriarch society how it's done, and they see that it's working, maybe the world will be a better place. But we have to have courage when we come to the table to talk. And the reason why I said about this conversation, because I seen a show with Jada Pickett, Willow, and her mom talking about this. And I would love to do something like that. My thing is going slow. And I'm going to show you the horizon maps too. It coincides with the Hopi land. There we go. And this is from Gary David. Now, he took the Orion's constellation. The Orion constellation will be flipped on the other side, but I guess he flipped it and basically came to a conclusion that it basically coincides with the Hopi land. Right on point. You see how he took this and put it right over it? There's another one. The belt stars corresponds to the third, second, and first mesa, the Orion's belt right here. The distance between Batakin and Canyon de Chelly is stretched about 12 miles in relation to the constellation. The distance between Walnut Canyon and Homolovi is stretched about 10 miles. Not bad, considering it's over 110 miles between Batakin in the north and Homolovi in the south. Another one. The blue line shows terrestrial Orion. The yellow is solstice lines. The green is non-solstice lines. And the purple is a chakra line. Wow. The chakra line goes right in the middle. Right in the second mesa. Another one. More. I found this intriguing too. Palm of the hand palm, Seca Mesa, and it has like a dollar sign there. I'm wondering why. Hopi hand constellation. First, second, third mesa corresponds to the ring, the middle, and the index fingers. The pinky corresponds to the antelope mesa and the thumb to the white mesa. The eye in the hand, Orion Nubula, corresponds to burnt corn ruins, a 100-room pueblo inhabited between 1100 and 1250 AD. No, the chakra line going right through it. And if you look here to this one, this right here at Grand Canyon points out to the Osiris temple. The base chakra, root chakra. And I was just talking about that. Wow. Okay. Wow. But the second mesa here corresponds to the solar plexus. The burnt corn runes is the sacral chakra. Yeah. Wow. Meridian. The celestial desert of Southwest. Aries, Taurus, Orion, and Canis Major correlations in the American Southwest. The Pleiades, Taurus, Orion, Aries. Wow. The star hexagon. Arizona, New Mexico, California map with the star hexagon. And you can read more on the books of the Kivas of Heaven. The Orion Zone. Barnard's Loop superposed upon the Arizona Orion correlation. On the tessarial plane, the sources of this Fibonacci spiral corresponds to the village of Binyang at the center of Black Mesa. Wow. Wow. You see how so many correlations from the stars? And I feel, yes, was it Mary who asked about the ant people? I believe the ant people came in and helped them. I believe the Pleiadians came and helped them too, but the Pleiadians, I guess they were driven out by the Draconians. The red dot on the center of the flower of life. This is the flower. That's beautiful. Wow, they even got the flower of life. The red dot at the center of the flower of life is called the Tuwanasi, literally means sand middle. It is conceptualized as the center place, the spiritual heart of the Hopi cosmos. This sandy plain is actually located about 4 miles southwest of the village of Orobai, on the third mesa. In the ancient Egyptian cosmogony or similar spark corresponds to the primordial mound rising from the ocean of creation, where the temple at Heliopolis was later constructed. This axis mundi has housed the consequently shaped and meteoric Benben stone upon which the Bennu bird, which is also called the phoenix, perched. The inner rectangle above is comprised of 4 Loki, Batakin, Keat Steel, which is the Navajo National Monument. Second is the Canyon de Chelly National Monument, which jointly form the base of the Orion projection on the Arizona desert and run along the northeastern escarpment of Black Mesa. Third is the Sunset Crater National Monument, a volcano that erupted in 1064 AD. And 4, a point 18 miles south of Homolovi Ruins State Park, which is located on the right arm of the terrestrial Orion as it reaches southward towards the ancient Hohokam territory in the Phoenix Basin Park, which is located on the right arm of terrestrial Orion as it reaches southward towards the. I just said that. It is too bad that the flower of life doesn't pass through Las Vegas, as it would likely improve the luck of those taking advantage of Vegas vacation packages. That was funny. Right, a little bit more people would have been having some luck, right? The Orion Zone and Solomon Seal. This is the Solomon Seal. The flower of life, the Solomon Seal. Overlaid on the hexagon cube in the flower of life is Solomon's Seal, the Star of David, composed of two interlocking equilateral triangles. Okay, and this map is Orion alignments in Arizona and New Mexico. Batacan, Canyon de Chelly, and Roswell. Winter solstice sun is Earth star planetary grid system. This grid point is one of the 62 major vertices of the Mercator base hexakis icosahedron, oh Lord, projected on Earth globe with 120 faces, 180 edges, and 62 vertices. Can be conceptualized as a giant Earth crystal. Corresponds for Cerro Cubavi. Two great circles enclose Arizona Orion correlation, and orange Yang great circle, and a lime green balanced great circle. This respectively represents Orion's characteristic male or yang energy on the Hopi ceremony cycle that functions to keep the earth in balance. The golden mean spiral and the golden mean spiral over here. This golden mean spiral starts at the throat chakra located at the Grand Falls, arcs through the San Francisco peaks, home of the Cachinas or the Katisinam, sweeps by the Hopi village of Orabi, Shungopovi, and Wapi. The belt intersects Orion's right hand, circles into Hades' horns, and passes through Gamma Tori. This golden mean spiral starts at Simpohuni, the Hopi place of emergence, arcs through Orabi, the oldest continuous inhabited community on the continent, which was settled in 1100 AD, swings through the third eye chakra of Orion at Walnut Canyon, then continues its sweep through the middle of the horns of Taurus. Orion reaches towards Grand Canyon. The horizon Orion correlation upper part is oriented southwest. The left arm extends from Bellatrix Wupataki ruin toward the Grand Canyon. It passes Hopi Point on the south rim and terminates within the canyon near a butte named Osiris Temple. It celestially corresponds to Pi 3 Orionis. The Sapapuni or Hopi place of emergence is Travertine, which is limestone dome located at the north bank of the Little Colorado River. Specifically, it corresponds to Pi 5 Orionis. However, the possible exoplanet status of Pi 3 Orionis and the wormhole nature of the Supapuni jointly represents general function of the Grand Canyon in Hopi cosmology. The Hopi perhaps see the Supani as the most sacred spot on Earth. The left arm of Arizona Orion, Wupataki to Osiris Temple. Looking toward the southeast, we see the location of the ancestral Hopi ruin. Run site of Wupataki National Monument corresponds to Bellatrix, left shoulder of Arizona Orion correlation. The San Francisco peaks of home of the Hopi Cachinas from July until December are a few miles to the south. The Hopi Mesa are over 50 miles northeast of Wupataki. The Sipipuni is located on the Little Colorado River, 3.5 miles upstream from its confluence with the Colorado River. Osiris Temple corresponds to Pi 3 Orionis, is downstream on the north bank of the Colorado River. The ancient Egyptians associated Osiris with Orion. Today, some people believe that a lost city of the dead was once located in the Grand Canyon. It was reputedly found in 1909 by J.E. Kincaid, an expedition for the Smithsonian Institute. He described it as being filled with ancient Egyptian artifacts, mummies, and hieroglyphs, as well as some Asian artifacts. Others believe the complex is still there, waiting to be rediscovered. I believe that our own government went in there and took that. Right now it's in the Smithsonian, on the ground somewhere. The Grand Canyon Golden Mean. Location of the Egyptian lost city of the dead in Grand Canyon. Orion correlation and adjacent constellation projected upon the American Southwest. So these are all the Orion correlations. All the Canis Major, Lupus, Orion, Monoceros, Gemini, Canis Minor. A perfect correlation. The Pacific Ocean currents. The equatorial countercurrent flowing west to east, the south equatorial current flowing east to west, and the counterclockwise flowing South Pacific Jai to join the Humboldt-Peru current. No. Africa Prime Meridium and chakras. From Alexander, from the Giza, Naptaplaya, the Rwenzori Mountains, Great Zimbabwe, Mapungubwe, and Mumplas. So the crown starts at Alexandria, third eye, Great Pyramid, throat, Naptaplaya, heart is the Rwenzori Mountains, the solar plexus is Great Zimbabwe, sacred root is Mapungubwe, and the root is Bumplas, South Africa. Prime meridian is about 30 degrees east longitude. The distance between Giza and Bumplas is over 3,800 miles. The world's oldest astronomical observatory, see Thomas G. Brooke, The Horizon Map, for the Naptaplaya, if you want to know more description of it. The Zulu shaman, Credo Mutwa, states that the creatures from a certain star in Orion Belt, an ancient subterranean city of the copper in the Rwenzori Mountains of the Moon, located in the border between Uganda and Democratic Republic of Congo. The Great Zimbabwe is the southern Zimbabwe, formerly Rhodesia, is 320 miles south of the Zambezi River. 1270 through 1550 AD population was 18,000. At this eponymous site, the roofless oval structure of the great enclosure is 800 feet long. Its mortarless granite walls are 30 feet high and 20 feet thick at the base. Small monoliths on top of the eastern arc of the great enclosure line with the three stars, the constellation Orion, Bellatrix, Alnilam, and South shortly before sunrise on winter solstice. Mampugwe on the Limpopo River in northern South Africa, 900 to 13 AD. The population was 5,000. For a description of Bomblapes, you could refer to the Eye of the Phoenix. And you can also read the chapter of South Africa in his new book, which is called The Kivas of Heaven. Really? I hate that. Every time I click on the mouse, it buffers. I'm sorry, y'all. Right? Those sites don't know what they're getting into. So I feel like a lot of people that live around that site, they know what's going on. But especially to the one over there by Dolce, I mean, what a perfect spot, right? And I would love to go up into that Grand Canyon to get to the Orias Temple point to see what's there. I'm buffering, you guys. Oh, I hate that oops. Aw, a lot of you, I had to restart. No, Vegas did not make that cut. I hope you guys enjoyed, but let me know in the comment section down and below to see if what y'all think about and who would like to come on my show on live, who dares to come on live with me, and which is a woman or it could be a man, it doesn't matter, but I want to do like a woman discussion round table, if you would like. Yes, I would like to do that, of all different types of different backgrounds coming together and speaking, getting to know each other, and see if we could come to a bridge, bridging that gap, so that way we could show the patriotic society that there's a better way than what you guys been doing. So let me know in the comment section below. Let me know. And with that being said, namaste everybody. Much love and light and peace and favor and great health to all. Keep those chakras balanced, y'all.